If there's any questions, you can either throw them in the chat and I'll forward them on to Dixon, or you could contact Dixon through his email address. Next up, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth Joyner. She's from NASA Langley, and she leads the My NASA Data program. She is one of the most energetic, engaging colleagues that I work with. So take it away, Elizabeth.
Oh, I love you, Cassie. Thank you. That's so sweet. Well, hello, everyone. I am Elizabeth Joyner, and I work at NASA Langley Research Center. I am a former teacher. I have been in the science education field for over 20 years, and I'm originally from South Carolina. My pronouns are she and her, and I am just tickled to be a part of this. I deliberately am slowing my speech, and I talk very fast, and I want to make sure that that I give enough time to pause and go through the resources that I can with you. And if you could go ahead, next slide. For those of you that are doing projects with mosquitoes and land cover and other data sets, I want to highlight a resource for you. Next slide. This resource will help you to scaffold or level your instruction and the activities that you do with your students if you use maps or animations or videos of maps using earth science data. Line graphs of earth science data could be precipitation or change in land cover or percentages of mosquitoes at different, let's say, larval stages, etc. Or you're analyzing your own data in a data set that is arranged in a data table, like in the GLOBE protocol data sheets. And if you use these kinds of data visualizations, then I've got a tool that I would love to talk with you about, and I hope that you can find it useful. Next slide. And I wanted to give you an example of the different kinds of visualizations here and the kinds of questions that go with those data visualizations that can be used with this tool. For example, on the top left, there are land cover maps. That one on the left is done by hand by students, and on the right side there, the colorful image, there is a satellite map showing how land cover changes over the space of the map. And the data literacy cube from My NASA Data has question sheets that help students make sense of mapped data. On the right-hand side, there is a line graph. This is an example showing how air temperatures change over time at a particular place. If you use these kinds of data, the line graph data cube question sheets would be something of interest to you. And then finally, here is an example of GLOBE data or other kinds of data that students can collect, either by computer or through those, as mentioned earlier, the GLOBE protocol data sheets. Next slide. Now, these icons identify on our website, which is the My NASA Data website, different resources that you can use with student question sheets. And in just a moment, Cassie's going to open this, but I wanted to tell you we have been recently working with a high school science teacher who's also an ESOL teacher, English as Second Language Learner teacher at her high school, and she's the lead ESOL teacher. She helped us to improve upon the question sheets by including Lexile or readability levels, as well as WIDA standards for language proficiency. We have leveled the question sheets for 4 different levels: novice, developing, proficient, and advanced. And let's see, Cassie, if you would please click on that image on the top left, or go ahead and open the website where the Data Literacy Cube Guide is offered. Perfect. Thank you so much. This is the website on the My NASA Data page called the Data Literacy Cube Guide, and we provide all kinds of resources to help support the use of this guide either in an in-person environment or a virtual computer-based environment. Cassie, if you would scroll down, I would love for you to show them where they could get the PDF. Perfect. So right there, yes, under Document Resources, Cassie's going to open up the Complete Data Literacy Cube Guide, which she already preloaded it. Thank you, Cassie. And this is the guide that Maria helped us to create last summer using her experience with multilingual learners. And so this tool will help walk you through the background of the Data Literacy Cube as well as its various features. And so on page 2, if you'll zoom in a bit, Cassie, for me, and it highlights the different levels. If you keep going just a little bit, you can see level 1, which is the novice level. It includes Lexile levels or readability levels for at 200 to 400 level. It also has meets the language proficiency levels for 1.5 to 2.5. And we say here that the novice level is intended to be used with elementary students, struggling learners, English language learners, and students with specific accommodations. And so as we progress through the different levels, the sheets become more advanced, not only by language, but also by cognitive abilities. Our sheets also include a keyword list as well as a task card, so students can identify exactly what their role is in the activity. If you will scroll down for me, I think take us to page 5, sorry. Page 5. There we go. Perfect. This is the Data Literacy Cube. You can print this out, you can create it or have your students create their own cube, or you can use a regular gaming cube from your favorite board game. You do not need to have the special cube unless you just want it. Next slide. We also have task cards. If you'll zoom in, you got it, Cassie, you're so good. So we have at least 4 roles that a group of 4 students can have. We have the project manager, a data manager, chief engineer, and communications manager. Each of these roles has different positions, and you can identify who those students are at the onset of the activity. Okay, next page. And here is an example. If we were using a map and we wanted students to identify and describe different features of the map, and let's say that they are at that level 1, the novice learner, we could identify the keywords here before starting the activity. We break the students into their groups, and then students use the gaming die or the data literacy cube, and they roll the cube and answer the questions. And so, Cassie, if you would please scroll down, we'll highlight the bottom right. Okay, so that first sheet, you can see there that it's level 1 at 200 to 400 Lexile level for those elementary level readers. The next page is identical to that first one, except it is missing that label at the bottom right. This is for students who may be conscientious of their reading abilities or how they differ from their peer group. If you keep scrolling down, we progress to level 2, and then let's progress to level 3, level 4, and then after level 4, we will find that we now instead of map cube, it becomes one more, graph cube. So for students who are analyzing line graphs in the same function with novice all the way to advanced levels, here are scaffolded sheets or leveled sheets that can help support your students in their data analysis. So we have maps, graphs, and data tables, which are perfect for your GLOBE data. Let's see, Cassie, if you'll go back to the slide deck and then show the last slide that I had available with my contact information. I think I might be out of time. If you have any questions, in fact, I'm going to put in the chat the link to the Data Cube guide, I should say. There it is. And I am also going to link my email address. I'm going to copy and paste it into the chat. And you are welcome to, if you're wanting to learn more, please follow these links. And I'm going to put them in here as well. And thank you for having me. And all right, there we go. I've got them in there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. It was wonderful. We enjoy all the data cubes and the MyNASA data a lot.
Thank you so much, Cassie.
I'd now like to introduce Juan and Kathy, and GLOBE Mission Mosquito is so happy to share the project that they have been working on at the Montessori School in Cartagena, Colombia. Juan is the Knowledge Management Chief and Environmental Education Coordinator. He currently uses birdwatching, civic ecology, and citizen science to promote more authentic and meaningful learning and to encourage ecotourism to generate dignifying income for artisanal fishers and peasant communities. He is also a member of the GLOBE DEI Working Group. Kathy has taught English and biology at the Montessori School for over 12 years and is also a GLOBE teacher currently leading the translation project of the GLOBE Mission Mosquito notebook for Spanish-speaking users. She has worked on several student research projects using different GLOBE protocols and is an avid bird watcher. So Kathy and Juan, I'll drive your slides for you.
Thank you, Casey. I am going to say just greetings to all the members of the GLOBE community. My colleague Kathy is going to do all the talking, but I just wanted to say that this is a dream that came true. It's still a small initiative, but it's the first step to bringing down those barriers that language create to make GLOBE community more accessible to everyone. As a member of the DEI working group, on behalf of my group mates, we are working really hard in creating ideas and brainstorming on how to make our GLOBE community more inclusive, a safe place, because we believe that the complex problems that our Earth past day need everyone to bring solutions. So that is our mission, to create a safer and inclusive environment to all in our GLOBE community. So thank you for this opportunity to let us share our initiative with all the GLOBE community. Para todos los miembros de la comunidad de GLOBE, un saludo muy especial desde Colombia. Mi colega Katy del Colegio Montessori es quien va a hacer toda la presentación, pero yo quería extenderles un saludo y decirles que esta es una pequeña iniciativa todavía en proceso, pero son los primeros pasos que damos en ese sueño de derribar todas las barreras que tenemos con el lenguaje, con el idioma. Soñamos con una comunidad de GLOBE inclusiva, diversa, accesible a todos, y lo hacemos porque creemos que los complejos problemas que adolece la Tierra hoy necesitan de todos y todas para su solución. Y solamente creando un ambiente seguro e inclusivo para todos es que lo vamos a lograr. Hago parte del Grupo de Trabajo de Diversidad, Equidad e Inclusión, y en nombre de mis compañeros quiero también mandarles un saludo porque son personas muy comprometidas que están todo el tiempo pensando en cómo creamos ambientes más inclusivos, accesibles y diversos en nuestra comunidad. Le doy paso a Kathy. Kathy, good luck and go ahead. Thank you very much to all.
Well, good afternoon for everybody. Welcome. We will be having this presentation both in English and exam and in Spanish. So next, let's see the mosquito. So I'm going to talk about bringing down language access barriers. And these are the first steps that we have been taking. Like Cassie was saying before, I have been teaching in Montessori school for over 12 years, and I was a biology teacher several years before I became an English teacher in the Montessori school. I'm currently working with 10th grade. Next, please. That's a mosquito. That's what brings us here, right? Next. So what are the barriers that we're talking about? Next, please. We're talking about language barriers specifically, and as you can see here on this map, this is a map that shows us a risk areas for Zika or chikungunya. I had Zika, and I have dengue. So I know this is a very real threat. This is a very real thing for us. And as you can see, there's not many areas that are native English speakers, right? In the circle that you can see on your screens, that's Latin America and the Caribbean, where Spanish is the language that pretty much everybody speaks. Well, you have Brazil and some other exceptions, but it's pretty much a very big community. We have over 2,500 schools that are already participating in the GLOBE community, but it could be more if we could, effectively access all these material, all these resources that we have available for everybody. But unfortunately, they are not easily accessible in Spanish. Next, please. So since that was the need that we identified, the next step was naturally to try to come up with a solution. So that's when we came up as a team. You can see in this image, Dr. Rostilo, Cassie Zopping, who's helping us here today, and Juan Felipe, my colleague, and myself. This is where we came up with a great idea, and I think it's gonna work out. Next, please. So what is it that we decided to do? Well, we thought that we could get high school students involved, and that's exactly what we did. As I was telling you before, I teach 10th graders, but we got some last year. We got 10th graders involved now because our school year begins in February and ends in November. The students that last year were in 10th grade now are seniors because we have 11 grades in high school here. So they speak English, they learn English as a second language, and most of them are quite good. So through our volunteer program, we've set up the scene for students to start translating the material that was prioritized by the Mission Mosquito team. Let's dig a little deeper and see how we did it. Next slide, please. So this is the translation pilot setup. The first thing that we did was to get their parents' consent for the students to participate in the project. This is a step that, according to our country's law, was absolutely necessary. And I bring it up since the whole idea for sharing this with you is for you to be able to replicate the experience in your countries with all the material in all the languages, right? So before you start, I would definitely recommend you looking up into that before you begin. Then we had our students, that's the first thing, parental authorization. Then, as you can see on your screens, Google Forms is the tool that we used in order to have the students answer a survey, because we also thought, and this was Cass's great idea, that it was a great opportunity for us to measure impact on other aspects that was possibly happening, stuff that was possibly happening when the students start participating in the translation programs. And again, as you can see, we went for a lot of Google tools because they are easy to use, easily available for everybody. For a while, we thought on using our school's LMS platform, learning management platform, but I believe that would have limited the replicability of this project. Next, please. So, okay. So here on this slide, we can see instead of, we went with Google Slides, as you can see here, instead of a regular document, because the material, the Mosquito Notebook, for instance, has images, and those images are important for context. And Google Slide is very tolerant with the handling of images, and it's less time consuming as opposed to word processors that, when you move an image, the whole layout changes and everything bursts into flames. So we went for Google Slides because of that. As you can see here on the presentation, on the left, you have one page of the Mosquito Sans notebook. On the right, you have a blank space. That's the space where the students are going to actually translate, where the translation is going to be written. We believe this side-by-side layout makes it easier for the students to work with the material instead of having to switch back and forth in between documents. Here we can also see the comment box, and we thought this might come in handy to keep tabs on the project. The first slide, as you can see there, has a comment like the one on your screen, which reads something along the lines of notifications. Mark the date you begin translating this package by answering this comment, and once you're satisfied with it, answer it again, indicating it's finished. One of our students started translating this package on September 22nd last year. Next, please. Okay, so here in Colombia, it's mandatory for the students to tackle 80 hours of community service in order to graduate from high school. With this in mind, the school was able to incorporate the time the students used to translate these packages, because this is community service. Not only that, but it's community service with potential global impact. So we were really excited to actually include it in our program. We considered the amount of time it is required to translate text from English to Spanish and established an average of 200 words per hour. On your screen, you will see, you're looking at the file that we use to know how many hours each student has served by working with us on the translation pilot. You can see you have the name of the student, the date the package was finished, the number that each package had, and we have multiple tabs, one for each student, so we can follow what the work is gaining them in terms of community service. Thank you. Next. Right. So now the quality of the translation is, of course, a factor. And we're working in order to make these translations, this material available for the whole Spanish-speaking community. So we needed to make sure that there are no mistakes, or at least not so many mistakes. And that's why we decided on a two-step revision process. Once the student marks their package as finished, the same package is assigned to another student that checks their classmate version. We mark these differences, using a plus, one single plus for first version. The name of the file then is changed with 2 plus signs when the student does a second revision. And finally, we have, as you can see there on the little yellow rectangle, my geometry is showing, when the final revision is done by a teacher, because the student first version, second version, this is done by students. They peer review their work, and then either Juan or myself, we check and we see what their translation looks like. Once the package has gone through all these stages, it is to be sent to the Mission Mosquito team. Next, please. Okay, so this is an example of how this second revision looks. The student is using the comment tool to provide their input on his fellow students' first version of the package. When a teacher, like Juan Felipe or myself, is teaching, they look at then they have in one single view, they have the original English version, the first version of the document, and then the suggestions that are made by the students that does the revision. And after all this has finished, we have the final problem. Now, one aspect that, because this is, we're working and we're trying to figure it out things as we do them. One aspect that might be problematic, or one issue that I think we need to kind of come up with a solution for, is that we cannot control the order in which the students tackle their packages. We have like one document, we break it up into sections to give different students so that they can make they can work faster. But sometimes that means that this particular student is working on the end of the document and he or she, like, they finish first. So that's why we decided to wait until all the sections of a specific material were done before actually sending them to the Mission Mosquito team. Next, please. That's it for, like, that's how we've been working with this so far. Cassie, are we gonna have the questions and answer in English and then we're gonna go for the Spanish, or are we gonna have that at the end?
I think if there's a few questions now, Kathy, and you're willing to, we have opportunity to answer them. So if you want to, if there are any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll take a look at them. And
I think I was speaking way too fast.
You did a very nice job.
All right, do we have any questions?
I think not yet. I think people are kind of processing the whole project, which when we, as the team, when Rusty and I first met with Juan and Kathy, we were totally amazed at the planning that had gone through this, and 80 hours of community service time is an aspiring goal, I think, for most of us when we were teaching. But laying it out, getting the parental involvement, the parental buy-in to the product that would be created, that would have longevity throughout not just Kathy's school, but to other teachers who are working, it is incredible. And having it first translated, peer-reviewed, and science-reviewed will definitely, as she mentioned, cut down on any errors that potentially, or misinterpretations that could be there. And then the Mission Mosquito team will be awaiting the final product, so we can, again, guarantee that the work is parallel to what the original was. And Jennifer commented, it's not really a question, but it's she acknowledges also it's an incredible way to address multiple needs.
Thank you. I hope if there are people out there that want to do this with different languages, and if they come up with better solutions to the issues that we find along the way, like the one of having like multiple paces when it comes to translating the packages, I'm really excited to see what solutions they come up with.
I just wanted to point out, as Kathy was laying out a plan for how she would keep track, because this is kind of a logistical bowl of spaghetti, but having the document, I think this is the one, having the documents with the naming conventions, and using Google, you're able to see immediately when the whole history of the revisions and comments I think that's a genius way of tackling this problem. And I hope
Also,
it worked out well, Kathy.
it did. Also, the fact that we use notifications, sorry, that we use comments, it's
Yes.
also a very helpful tool, because you get an email when somebody does a comment. So it keeps us focused, and it gives us real time information on when the student's working and what they're doing. So you just click on the email link and go see what they did.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it helped us organize our work a lot. And then naming the document, I believe it's simple enough to be done easily, and it gives you the idea of how the package is progressing along in the process.
Agree. I think having the pluses and the number of pluses with a common naming convention is a great way for you to quick look through a folder and see at what level and what progress each one of those sections are. We presented this as an opportunity that others could take perhaps any of our materials and run it through your student group to see if it's something that you would be interested in possibly doing, as a way of not just translating materials, but translating the knowledge across a broader group of people. I know that Juan will probably address this also, but having materials ready to go when he does his training.
Yes, absolutely. That's I forgot to mention that before. That's the reason why we decided on doing this. When he was teaching a group of rural teachers, when he was doing the training for a group of rural teachers, he came up with this. He faced this problem. The teachers did not speak English, and the material and the tests were in English. So he had to set up a meet session, because pandemic times, and he had to translate everything right there and then for the teachers. It solved the problem, but it wasn't a long-term solution. It was not scalable. And that's when we said that this should be in Spanish, and that's why the whole translation pilot came to be.
Absolutely. If you have additional questions during Juan's presentation, I know that Kathy will be watching the chat and happy to answer you. I see that Inez wrote that she loved the idea of using the community service to do global work. It's very interesting because it does motivate students to think about environmental actions. Absolutely, Inez. All right, Juan, if you're ready to go, I'm ready to drive your slides for you too. Just tell me next.
I'm gonna go ahead, because as Juan is in Barranquilla,
Gotcha.
I'm gonna go ahead and do the Spanish version as well.
All right, don't forget to tell me next, and I'll do the slides again for you.
Next, please. Bueno, buenas tardes. La versión en español para todos. Siguiente, por favor. Mi nombre es... next, please. I was saying siguiente in Spanish. Next, please. Como casi dijo al principio, fui profesora de biología y español y inglés en el Colegio Montessori por más de 12 años. Actualmente estoy trabajando con estudiantes de 10º grado. Entonces, es por eso que soy yo quien les presenta el proyecto Derribando Barreras, los primeros pasos que damos tendientes a lograr este objetivo. Next, please. So, ¿de qué barreras hablamos? Este es el mapa de pronóstico de riesgo de chikungunya. Y pues no hay muchos países que hablen inglés de manera nativa. Y aunque el inglés es efectivamente un idioma ampliamente utilizado en todo el mundo, hay algunas áreas como la que tenemos encerrada en el círculo amarillo, que es América Latina y el Caribe, donde aunque el programa GLOBE tiene más de 2.500 escuelas vinculadas, en las que los maestros utilizan diferentes herramientas y protocolos de GLOBE para monitorear mosquitos, por ejemplo, hay muchas escuelas participando, pero sabemos que pueden ser muchas más. Y esto fue justamente lo que hace un rato comentaba en la versión en inglés, y es que nuestro coordinador ambiental, Juan Felipe, como Master Trainer de GLOBE, enfrentó esas dificultades cuando estaba comenzando a capacitar un nuevo grupo de maestros rurales, pues no estando el material disponible en inglés, no estando las pruebas disponibles, en español, tuvo que solucionar a través de una sesión de Meet en donde los maestros que le estaba capacitando se conectaban y él hacía la traducción ahí, en vivo, del material y posteriormente de las preguntas para poder capacitarse en los protocolos de GLOBE. Pero esto no es una solución sostenible, no es efectiva en términos de esfuerzo y el beneficio que se puede obtener. Next, please. Entonces, una vez identificamos esta necesidad, el siguiente paso fue, por supuesto, tratar de encontrar una solución. Y es cuando quienes estamos ahí en esa imagen son la doctora Rusty Lowe, Cassie, quien nos está acompañando ahora, Juan Felipe, que hace un rato nos saludó, y pues yo, como parte del equipo del Colegio Montessori, nos reunimos y decidimos implementar esta idea. Next, please. Entonces, lo que se nos ocurrió fue que podríamos involucrar a los estudiantes de secundaria. Eso fue lo que hicimos. Nosotros tenemos en el proyecto, estamos participando con juniors, o sea, estudiantes de 10º grado. En Colombia, oficialmente los colegios llegan hasta, la secundaria llega hasta 11 grados. Así que tenemos los que el año pasado fueron juniors y que este año son seniors, participando en el proyecto a bordo con nosotros. Nuestros estudiantes aprenden inglés como segundo idioma y tienen un excelente nivel, excelente nivel. Entonces, a través de un programa de voluntariado, preparamos el escenario para que nuestros estudiantes comenzaran a traducir el material que el equipo de Mission Mosquito priorizó para hacer esto, para poner en marcha este proyecto del que le hemos hablado. Ahora, ¿cómo lo hicimos? Next, please. Lo primero que hicimos fue obtener el consentimiento de sus padres para participar en el proyecto. Ese es un paso que según la legislación de nuestro país debemos tomar sí o sí. Y lo menciono porque, bueno, la idea detrás de compartir esto con ustedes es que se pueda replicar esto con otros materiales, incluso ojalá también con otros idiomas. Así que este es un paso que definitivamente no podemos olvidar antes de iniciar un proyecto similar. Después hicimos que los estudiantes respondieran una encuesta que está ahí, lo hicimos a través de Google Forms, porque vimos que era una interesante oportunidad para medir el impacto que podía tener en los estudiantes en otros aspectos al participar en el proyecto de traducción. Como pueden ver, hay muchas herramientas de Google porque son fáciles de usar y en gran medida son de fácil acceso para muchas personas. Al principio, cuando estábamos empezando, consideramos utilizar Schoology, que es la plataforma que usaba el colegio para compartir material educativo, pero entonces eso habría limitado el alcance de replicabilidad del piloto porque solamente podría ser aplicable a aquellos colegios o aquellos que tuviesen una plataforma, un LMS, una plataforma similar. Entonces, next, please. Entonces, ¿cómo lo hicimos? Lo hicimos de la siguiente manera. Elegimos Google Slides, trabajar con Google Slides porque, o presentaciones de Google, porque esa herramienta es mucho más tolerante, sí, es más fácil manejar las imágenes, uno las puede poner donde quiera y ahí quedan. Eso no ocurre con cualquier otro procesador de texto, que si uno mueve una imagen se altera todo. Y pues es importante que puedan tener las imágenes ahí porque ofrecen contexto, a veces incluso la imagen misma es parte del material. Y bueno, como pueden ver aquí en esta captura de pantalla, a la izquierda está una imagen del Mosquito Notebook. A la derecha tenemos el espacio donde se va a escribir la traducción. Y creemos que este diseño de lado a lado hace, o sea, que las dos cosas estén una al lado de la otra, la versión original y el texto que se va traduciendo, hace que sea más fácil para el estudiante trabajar en vez de tener que saltar de un documento a otro, tenerlo impreso y estar mirando. Aquí todo en una misma pantalla, creemos que les facilita el trabajo. Aquí también está el cuadro de comentarios, que está en la primera diapositiva del paquete que los estudiantes reciben. Y pensamos que podía ser útil para poder controlar el proyecto. La primera diapositiva tiene un comentario que ven ustedes ahí, que es notificaciones, marque la fecha en la que inicia a traducir, respondiendo a este comentario, en la que comienza a traducir. Una vez esté satisfecho, comenta nuevamente que el proyecto está finalizado, el paquete está finalizado. Aquí este es el caso en una de nuestras estudiantes, empezó este paquete el 22 de septiembre del año pasado. Cada vez que un estudiante hace un comentario, recibimos una notificación, yo recibo una notificación en el correo y me permite hacer un seguimiento de manera mucho más cómoda. Next, please. Entonces, aquí tenemos, como les comentaron en inglés hace un rato, aquí en Colombia es obligatorio que los estudiantes cumplan 80 horas de servicio comunitario para poder graduarse de la escuela secundaria. Y con esto en mente, el colegio pudo incorporar el tiempo que los estudiantes trabajaban en el proyecto de traducción como horas de servicio comunitario. El tiempo que ellos utilizan en eso se les certifica y les cuenta como servicio comunitario. ¿Y qué más servicio comunitario que esto? Que además puede tener un impacto no solo en nuestra comunidad, sino potencialmente a nivel global. Así que bueno, consideramos la cantidad de tiempo que se requiere para traducir el texto y promediamos unas 200 palabras por hora. En su pantalla, ahí están viendo el archivo con el que nosotros controlamos lo que cada estudiante realiza. Hasta la fecha en la que el estudiante finaliza el paquete y bueno, ahí va contando cuántas horas va acumulando a medida que va trabajando en los diferentes paquetes que se le asignan. Next, please. Ahora, la calidad de las traducciones es un factor de vital importancia y estamos trabajando para que estos paquetes estén disponibles para la comunidad internacional, pues toda la comunidad de habla hispana. Entonces debemos asegurarnos en la medida de lo posible que no haya errores o que los errores sean mínimos y por eso decidimos un sistema de doble revisión por pares. Entonces un estudiante trabaja hace una primera versión del documento que se le asigna. Una vez lo haya marcado como terminado, ese mismo paquete se le asigna a otro estudiante y ese otro estudiante revisa la versión que hizo su compañero y hace propuestas a través de los comentarios. Entonces, como se hace una versión, luego una segunda revisión y finalmente revisamos los docentes, nosotros elegimos este sistema en el que editamos el nombre del archivo, distinguiendo primera versión con un signo de más, segunda versión con 2 signos de más, y la tercera versión, es decir, la que es revisada por un docente, con los 3 símbolos de más. Una vez este paquete ha pasado por todo ese proceso, ya está listo para ser enviado. Next, please. Entonces, este es un ejemplo de cómo se ve esa segunda revisión. El estudiante está utilizando la herramienta comentarios para proporcionar su opinión sobre la primera la primera versión que hizo su compañero. Entonces, cuando el profesor está revisando, que es Juan Felipe o yo, pues tenemos en pantalla tanto la versión original, la primera que hizo el estudiante, y en los comentarios las sugerencias que hace quien revisó. Entonces, finalmente uno dice, sí, esto me parece correcto, y se crea una versión final. Entonces, cuando ya está terminado, pues ese paquete está listo. Ahora bien, se nos presenta el problema, que no es, bueno, el problema, que es que no podemos controlar el orden en el que los estudiantes van abordando sus paquetes. Como son varios estudiantes trabajando de manera simultánea, es posible que un estudiante termine un paquete que hace parte del final del documento, porque el documento lo seccionamos en paquetes. Entonces, lo que hemos decidido como solución es esperar a que todas las partes de ese documento, a que todos los paquetes que hacen parte de ese documento estén listos antes de enviarlo al equipo de Mission Mosquito, y pues así entonces nos aseguramos que esté todo en orden. Tal vez ustedes estimen más acertado asignar un solo documento a un mismo estudiante, y que sea él o ella quien trabaje todo el documento, y cuando haya terminado se le asigne a otro estudiante a que haga la revisión, pero creemos que por paquete puede funcionar, salvo ese pequeño inconveniente. Me encantaría que se realizara que esto se replicara, y poder conocer las experiencias de otros profesores que aborden, se animen a participar en un proyecto de traducción de esta naturaleza. Muchas gracias. And next and final, Cassie, please. Gracias por su atención, y ojalá podamos recibir los comentarios al respecto.
Thank you again so much. And again, if there are any questions, please put them in the chat. Kathy and Juan have a blog up on our GLOBE Mission Mosquito resource page, and you can check that out and find out more. And there's a way to contact Kathy and Juan via that blog also, if you'd like to comment. And Juan has put his email into the chat. It was an excellent presentation. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Casey, for giving us this opportunity and for trusting in us since the very beginning. Dr. Rostilo, thank you. And well, this has been a very, very special opportunity for our school, for us, and for our country as well. And hopefully, we are being able to distribute this material in the Spanish-speaking community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I think we'll be asking if it's possible, then we'd be happy to co-host them on our Mission Mosquito Globe page also, so that they would be available to a larger community to download also. And there's a comment that Shannon really liked the fact that you used the Google Slides in the docs that show the chronological progression in learning a new language. An excellent strategy.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much. I'm very excited. Just a little bit nervous about presenting our work, and I hope it's helpful for everybody out there.
You did a monumental lift getting all the planning done and getting the resource strategy mapped out, and the kids were excited. And I think probably one of the stellar comments that my takeaway from our last conversation was you've had students that have asked for more work, that they've enjoyed, they've done well beyond their 80 hours for community, but they're spending hundreds of hours doing translations. So that shows their passion that they've picked up from you on the project. Well, thank you again very much. The webinar recording and the slides will be available on our Mission Mosquito webpage. So if you'd like to catch a rewrap of the webinar, you're welcome to do that. And thank you again so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.